What's up, everyone? This is Alexis Gallardo. Thanks for tuning in to this week's podcast. We have a very special guest in the building today, Rachel DeMolfetto. She is the founder and chairwoman of Racine Salon Spa, founded in 1994, celebrating 30 years next year, which is a huge feat. And we're also here to talk about Mondays at Racine, which is a powerful movement that was started in 2003. Your mission for Mondays at Racine is to provide proven mind-body derived health, beauty, and wellness services to women, men, and young adults undergoing treatment for any kind of cancer, all 100% free of charge.
Correct.
That is amazing.
Correct.
Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you for having me. Yes. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited.
Thank you for having me and shining a spotlight on what I perceive as my mission in life is just to continue what I'm doing. Mondays at Racine was really the inspiration and actually the cause and effect of watching our mother. I'm one of 5 daughters and one brother, whose mother was diagnosed with cancer in the 80s, and our mother was a unique human being. An Italian mother, lots of kids, lots of chaos. Yeah. But, you know, with a good agreement with my father, she set out to have a career. She was a career woman. She was a real estate broker. She was an interior designer. Wow. She was a wedding planner. Before any of that, we always like to say she was Martha Stewart, before Martha Stewart ever really came around. And then her diagnosis was a big blow to her because she finally got that Italian mother stigma out, and she wanted to be a successful person. And with her diagnosis, she, you know, coiled back and, you know, metaphorically closed the door and didn't really come out. She was mortified that she had it. She was mortified with what the treatment had done for her. You know, Alex, she was a double processed blonde. She was always in the salon getting her hair colored. And I think the final breaking point for her was when her first round of treatment happened and she had her hair in the sink. You know, that salon at that time in the 80s, you know, AIDS was circulating. You know, people were stricken with AIDS and nobody knew the difference between who was sick with what. Right. And all that the public knew is they didn't want to go near anybody because they didn't know it was contagious or not. Right. Wow. So it's like you got pulled into this, you know, piranha, like you were this pariah of society, that you were not to be touched. So I think that feeling for her when she was at the salon and left just brought her right down to like nothing. And we were young women at the time, her daughters, we didn't know how to process it. Yeah. But it was not until many years later, after dabbling a little bit in the nonprofit world. I worked a little bit with the American Cancer Society. They had these, you know, springtime, they were selling daffodils, $1 a daffodil, and I went to the American Cancer Society. After Racine was opened in 1994, in 2003, one of my sisters came to me and said, I think I have a really good idea if we could get our staff to agree to open up on Mondays when most salons and spas are closed. Let's offer our services so they have a private day. And I said, great idea, because my really good friend's husband was a gynecological oncologist, one of the first out here on Long Island. I had dinner with him. I said, proposed the idea to him. I said, send me a couple of your patients. And that's really how it was born. We kept it really quiet though, because we knew if we publicized it, we would be bombarded with an outpouring of people in need, and we couldn't handle it. So, I mean, many different, you know, news days wanted to do an article, many different local community things wanted to let us, you know, ask us what we were doing, and we were like, just let us do our thing quietly and all that. And then one crazy day, get a phone call, and it was one of the producers from HBO. And naturally, we thought we were being punked. We hung up the phone. She called back.
Oh my gosh.
They were exploring this idea from the HBO. Really wanted to. A million documentaries are done on cancer, naturally, but they wanted to understand the idea. I think it was because they read an article in the New York Times, a blog actually, from an oncology nurse. And it was about the moment when a woman gets diagnosed. And one of the first things they say to the oncologist is, am I going to lose my hair? Not am I going to sick, not or how long am I going to live, is am I going to lose my hair? So the head of HBO, Sheila Nevins, wanted to explore who's shaving these women's heads. Is it your friend? Is it a relative? Is it your salon? So when they caught on to what we were doing, they came out for 6 months and did a preliminary shot. They finally got the green light. And in 2012, the film dropped. It's a short doc. You could see it on HBO Max quite easily, Mondays at Racine, same name as the charity. And it also, we got a phone call in January after garnering so many awards that it got an Academy Award nomination.
Wow. Oh my God.
So the producer and the director said to my sister and I, go shopping because you're going to the Oscars. Honestly, Al, I, never thought, I'm a salon owner, we did this thing so quietly, we never in a million years thought it would culminate to that. Even during the filming process, it never even occurred to us that that even could be remotely a possibility. But long story short on that, we go to the Academy Awards, it didn't win, but the following weeks, we were getting mail that was crazy. Checks after checks after checks. Donate this or name this in the name of my mother, in the name of my sister, my stories. Went to our accountant and he said, either rip up the checks or start a charity. And that's when the decision was made. And I just think that the universe pushed us into that direction. That was the natural progression. It was the way it was supposed to go. Mother, universe, right? So that journey went on for over the last 10 years. It's really been 10 years since the charity has been on the books as a charity.
Wow.
We worked really hard to garner relationships with all the hospitals, all the oncologists on Long Island. We knew that we could, people asked us, salon owners called us from Michigan and Chicago, could you teach us how to do this? We want to do it. We knew we couldn't really, sustain them because we're not there. We knew we didn't have relationships in those hospitals in the United States, but we knew in our hometown we could figure this out, so to speak. So,
Wow. That's incredible. The impact that you have on this community. Like, I'm so moved by it.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, again, I feel like every time I take care of a patient that it's giving me the opportunity I didn't have to take care of my mother. Finally, she did pass because she didn't want really treatment anymore. She did that because it was a cruel time. I think if she was diagnosed today, she would have probably survived it with the way that medicine has come such a long way in cancer treatment. But also, I think one of the most important points about Mondays and the medical community, it took them a long time to understand the gravity of these types of services and treatments that we do, how it really does help them get to perhaps the curative state, or receive treatment without a lot of anxiety, or being able to sleep at night, or being able to go to their husband's dinner engagement, or being able to go to a soccer field and watch their child play. To having that, that sense of like, wow, I went to a Mondays, I got a facial, I got a massage, I got Reiki, I got meditation, I did oncology, yoga, and now I feel well enough to, do what I got to do in my life, and not that, I have to stop everything. In cancer, there's a sense of grief of what your life used to be. So we really try to turn that on its head.
Oh, I can only imagine the amount of feedback and the impact that you've had on people that have come in, and you've like transformed their lives essentially in that moment that they're with you guys. So that's wow. How has that impacted you and the salon, do you think?
Well, honestly, it's the staff in itself that started this with us. They've rotated over the years. We soon found out you could kind of get fatigued from it after a while. I myself personally am never fatigued by it. As the chair, as one of the founders of Mondays at Racine, I still do my program once a month here. It is an important program for me. I am still boots on the ground. I want to make sure that people are being well taken care of.
Right,
I try to really give it levity and add a little humor into it every once in a while, but because it could be heavy, at times people, first time they're walking in, their head is down, they're filled with anxiety, and I can guarantee you by the time they leave our program that they're bouncing and they're, can I get an appointment for next time? Like, I got to do it,
I love that.
But in terms of like how Racine is perceived in the community, it's naturally that most people know our brand as that this is what we do.
Right.
As we are celebrating our 30 years, I think that we don't do it for the wrong reason. Like, I never really look at it like this is going to gain us, a place on the map. No, we just did it.
Right.
Action speaks louder than words. I hate that cliche, but it's so true.
So true.
You could talk the talk and talk the talk, but for you to really get down deep, dirty, messy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the word.
What motivated you to open the salon? Do you think it was because of Monday? Was Mondays at Racine a part of it at all?
No, it wasn't even on
your
brain.
radar. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The truth is, Racine is my second salon. I opened my first salon when I was 26.
Stop! No way.
And that was in 1989.
Wow. You've been in the game.
I honestly, I love the beauty industry.
Yeah.
I love fashion. I've always been a girly girl. But I had a really great friend. His name was Mickey. He owned a salon not too far away from me. He was my hairdresser, and I lived in the city, and I would come back to get my hair done for him. At the same time, my mother got diagnosed. He gets diagnosed with AIDS.
No way.
And so, he had a husband at the time. He wasn't married because it wasn't legal at the time, but and he had an interesting, he was like he saw the future more than anybody in the industry. He was an amazing person. In the parking lot that his hair salon was a little spa. And nobody was doing that at that time. So he did tanning, waxing, nails, all of that stuff.
Wow.
He said to me, I need to leave some money for my partner, and I need to sell this. How do you feel about buying it? And I knew in the back of my mind, my mother was sick. She just got diagnosed. Probably going to be moving back to Long Island. I might as well do this now. I mean, I did some makeup in the city for Chanel Cosmetics, and I had some knowledge about that.
Yeah.
And I really opened that then, sold it, took like a couple of months off, and then I opened Racine after that. So honestly, it was never like, oh, my dream come true as a child. I was 6 years old. I always wanted to own my own salon, but wow. I mean, again, I always feel like the universe just has its own plan.
Yeah.
I needed to help out a friend.
Right.
He had a little money. He was able to leave it when he passed. And it's interesting because Mickey and my mother passed within a month from each other.
Oh, wow.
And so really, that's how that really all came about.
Yeah.
Racine really came about because I sold my first shop, took a couple of months off, and the person I sold the first shop to couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So the clients would be calling me and say, what are we supposed to do now? Because it really wasn't like it is now, like salon on every corner.
Yeah.
Kind of was like still hometown-y kind of thing.
Oh my God.
So I said, screw it, I might as well go back.
Yeah, it must have been like a slow build-up. Like, did you always have top floor? Like, was this all
No,
this
I wasn't even in this building. I hopscotched around, started off in a space, was smaller, a little bigger, and then came to Racine. And it was only till last year I got top floor.
No way.
We opened top floor. Part of the reason why we opened top floor is after the pandemic, I felt like a lot of salon people were going into these suites, and there's these little cubicles that these buildings cut out, and they're lovely, and they serve a purpose. But I said to my team, who've all been with me for a really long time, you know what? Everybody's shrinking. Let's get big.
I love that. I love that so much.
Let's do bigger.
Yeah,
Let's make things roomy, and all this COVID stuff has died off. Nobody needs to be far away from each other anymore, and being so. We really and up here was designed and developed primarily We do a lot of hair extensions up here at top floor.
Yeah.
We do a lot of makeup up here. I have a lot of collaborators.
Yeah.
A lot of great people. Darian, Angela. I could go down the pike with a lot of different people coming in and out the doors.
Strong team. Very
Strong team. A lot of really great artists with integrity who really, really value what the beauty industry is about and are doing extraordinary work, mind you.
Right.
We have private parties up here, we have events up here, and we do a lot of education. We're a host for a lot of manufacturers. I don't really give out certificates, I don't give out licenses, but my space is conducive to anybody wanting to do classrooms up here because it turns into a great classroom. So
that's amazing. I know I've seen Angela's expos that she does here and classes that she does up here, on her Instagram. So it's incredible.
A great company that we're working with right now. But it's a full. My thought, my feeling of doing this for as long as I have been is, I have created a foundation and building blocks of great people. I had to really understand early in the game how important people's lives are. Yeah. They're not just workers. They have families. They have situations, perhaps, and allowing them freedom to work within the confines of what I can give them will give me a more productive product.
Right. Oh my God.
And so I feel proud of that notion. I used to, when I was green, I was like, you got to get to work and you got to work 5 days and you got to do this and you got to do that.
Right.
But then you soon learn that this is not, these are people, they're human beings.
Right.
So the opportunity to work here is about the balance.
Right.
And we all are striving for balance. We were just talking about that earlier.
Right.
How are we going to get the balance? Right. Where is the balance in all? We all want to work, we all want to be successful, but there is another life here, So if we can nurture that side, of life, this will be much more successful. It's a sweet spot, but it can be there,
Yeah, you can definitely feel it when you walk in. You can tell everyone's motivated and they talk with their clients, everyone's laughing, and it just feels so homey, it just feels so true and authentic.
Thank you.
I love that. I really do.
I appreciate that you even picked up on it because...
Yeah, I do. Even because I do the videos for you, so I see it.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a good group of very strong, united women.
I love that. Okay, so back to Mondays at Racine. So started in 2003 and you've had this beautiful journey. How has it changed over the years from where it was to where it is now?
Yeah, and just getting back to the idea of foundation, we had to, it was, all my sisters are involved on one level or another. As a matter of fact, my sister Carla Waldron is the executive director. We had to learn about the nonprofit world. So in doing so, we're self-taught. We're all in different careers, all of us, in different capacities of industries. But the essence and the model in the beginning was really about getting other salons and spas or like-minded, service-oriented facilities, like yoga studios and acupuncturists, and things, to take on Mondays. So it would be Mondays at Alexis's, right? You could call it whatever you want, but we would be able to come in and do an education circuit. We would teach you the language, we would teach you everything that we do, and then you could all you had to do was once a month for free. It's important for everybody to know that these are free services. Right?
Right.
But, salons then went through COVID. And it was a crash course, and now what do we do?
Right.
We knew that very strong salons would be able to bounce back as they did naturally in their regular businesses. But we quickly pivoted and we went to, of course, a virtual platform.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So now we have librarians doing book clubs. We have artists, art teachers doing art classes virtually.
Right.
We have meditation, full Zoom meditation and yoga. And there are a lot of patients that can't leave their homes. And even through COVID, because they're immunocompromised, they can't be exposed. They had even harder struggle. So that was a safe part of the programming that we developed and designed. That is still ongoing right now. Then, as I mentioned to you before, it took a long time for the medical community to recognize how important our work is. And it was only the feedback that they got from their patients eventually, that they went back to their doctors, right? And they said, oh my God, let's get this treatment over. I got to get to a Mondays program, right? Like things like that, right? Like, oh, let's get this over.
Wow, yeah. What a compliment.
That the medical community is embracing us even more so in terms of we are now going into infusion centers. We have a pool of service providers, that's what they're called, meaning massage therapists, meditation experts, Reiki masters, a nutritional dietitian advised people that now go into while people are actually in treatment, getting their treatment. There's a story that Carla Waldron, our executive director, talks about often, about a woman who, it was the first time she was getting treatment, young person, came in with her mother. And she was filled with anxiety. She was filled with so much anxiety, Alexis. Her blood pressure shot through the roof. She couldn't get treatment. So one of our yoga instructors, who's also just an amazing human being, said, "Give me 5 minutes with her." She took her to a closed room, and she had a 5-minute session with her. She came out. They took her blood pressure, had already dropped, and she was able to get treatment. Now, I don't take that lightly, because that moment in time that somebody, it could have been, it's not that it's critical, but it is critical that you're not getting your treatment in a timely fashion. So these types of moments, are embedded in our work and what we do. And so now we just got, and I don't even know if this is official, but I believe it is because it was announced at the board meeting last night, that one of the cancer care hospital systems is opening a new space and is making a Mondays little wing for us, which is a room, maybe about this size. But now we'll be able to almost provide services almost every day of the week. So our call to action on that is, we need people, because we know there are more and more diagnoses than there are Mondays. So we're always, we're deep in the beauty industry. We're always looking for those prospects. So it may not be a salon, it may not be a spa, it may not be an acupuncturist, but it could be anybody in the field who wants to do something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it all revolving around beauty and wellness. So it could be hair, it could be just anything.
Anything.
Wow.
Just have to be licensed. We'll do the oncology aesthetic and oncology trainings. We could provide that for them. We're heavily monitored by an oncology board that really wants to make sure that we're using and doing the correct services. We don't want to hurt anybody. But there's always a call to action on something like that.
And so, where do you foresee Mondays at Racine going from here? Do you see expansion? Do you see yourselves in multiple cancer centers, hospitals? Like, where do you foresee it? What's your vision there?
We have our general model down pat. We can replicate this model anywhere at this point. But we also know another important thing is to establish the relationships in the medical world in those communities. So it's up until we can get those communities, because that's ultimately where the patients come from, and get the approval from. When a Monday's client calls, one of the first things we have to introduce them to bring back to their doctor is a medical release form to be able to come to the program. just in the event there are any limitations of what we can and can't do.
Right.
Depending on the person's diagnosis. Incidentally, we do also take care of men.
Yeah.
And we also have a teen initiative. The men's program was a slow start because men associate salons with being foo-foo, if you will.
Yeah, totally.
But now we're getting barbershops involved.
Ooh, okay.
So we're actually having a big event coming up. I don't even have that date in my brain right now, but we're launching we're doing a big men's event that's going to be pretty dynamic. We're trying to tie ourselves into the 9/11 guys that were down there, and because there's a big population of cancer in that world.
That's so
we're working to collaborate with those organizations that help those guys. So in the future, I would just say that. We're on Long Island. We're robust on Long Island. We have 18 locations right now that are doing on any given Monday somebody's being cared for, and we're going to slowly move into the boroughs. And I think once we do, NYC, I think then we'll go anywhere.
Right.
That's where it all comes from anyway.
I love that. Oh my God, that's so inspiring. Yeah. What have been some of the challenges throughout the years? I know COVID was a big one, but any significant challenges or things that come to mind when it came to building up this?
Listen, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? And what ends up happening, as I'm sure this happens to the medical field, you end up getting close to people. You cannot help it. It's not like, we just don't even get ourselves, no. It's like, how can we touch people? How can we hold somebody's hand while they're getting their head shaved and not learn about their life and not get invested in it?
Right.
No matter what, it's hard to not do that.
Right.
The challenge in that is how sick they get. Yeah. How much more can we do if we lose them? How are we going to, in our own emotional stature, be able to handle that without giving up on it?
Right.
To me, I always measure my emotional quotient with the Mondays community as, I'm successful, so I have a very successful business. I've had it for many years. I need to take my success and share it with the less fortunate. That's one thing that I always try to live my life by.
Right.
The second thing is, with everything that's going on, you could complain about the most mundane thing. Gas prices are going up. Oh, this is more expensive. Our kids are on the internet too much. I mean, you could hear a million complaints every single day. Come here on a Thursday and you'll know what I mean.
Yeah.
But until you come to a Mondays, you got nothing to complain about.
Right.
You absolutely, positively. I will always, it's probably the most brazen thing I do. My clients probably hate me for it, but I don't care. But if they start spouting out their ridiculous complaints, I say, what are you doing on Monday? Come to a Monday.
Right? I love that.
Come and hang out with me just for a half hour.
I love that.
Because then you'll realize these things are not that important.
Right. I love that so much. What was the biggest motivation for offering it for free? That I'm curious to know.
Well, I know that we knew that if we charged for it, it didn't feel right. Like, what were we going to charge? Right. We already had a business that does that. We already do that.
Right.
But the most important and significant point to your question is, there are a lot of people that come through the Mondays doors that could never afford to come to Racine. They wouldn't even have thought about putting a massage in their budget, a facial.
That's so true.
Or even a manicure. They buy their own polish and they do it themselves. Could you imagine the impact of somebody who could never afford to do that and that gets diagnosed? How much more significant those treatments are for them and how they feel about it? I get a lot of clients that can afford it and say, "Oh no, 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 I don't. I can afford it, Rachel. I would leave it for somebody." I go, "No, you're missing the point. It's not about the not taking money. It's about letting somebody take care of you, letting somebody treat you, not that you have cancer, but that you're a human being." You let somebody in, and you get that feeling because you do feel erased when you have cancer, like my mother did many years ago.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that is so powerful. I love that so much. I'm like just soaking that in.
So
That
true.
is- yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So we do a lot of work with underserved communities. We'd really like our facilities to be mostly in those areas. We try to navigate ourselves through, but if we could be in those areas, it even gets more and more rewarding.
Yeah, and it really brings the love back into people's hearts too, because especially when you're diagnosed, I have no idea what it's like, but I can only imagine what it's like.
I can only empathize, I can't sympathize.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only do what I do without being like, "Oh, I understand," or,
Right.
When I'm training people in the cancer etiquette, I don't even know if that's a good term, but when we're training some salon people and treatment people who are going to be doing services, they say, "Well, what am I supposed to say?" I go, "Nothing. Nothing.
Right.
Listen."
Yeah.
They just want to be heard.
We just want someone to be there.
It's just sometimes we should all practice this in our daily lives. Is keep it quiet, right?
Yeah,
Keep it quiet.
Yeah, seriously, I feel like people talk too much, or they don't show enough love.
Anytime somebody talks about their problems, it's always like, "Oh, I know what that feels like." No,
I
not
don't.
really. How about, "Wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
Wow, that's terrible. Anything I could do to help?"
Right.
How about that?
Love that.
It's hard to train people
Yeah.
that.
No, it's hard. Especially
So,
because
like-
recondition.
Yeah, it's not like you could say, "Okay, let's give me about 8 weeks, like a conversion therapy."
Exposure therapy.
Whatever the hell that is,
Yeah.
but convert your just blabbermouth to being quiet. I'd like that opportunity.
Yeah. Do you think the world needs more of that? Just to
Yeah,
empathize more?
definitely.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah.
Isn't it true?
It would make the world such a better place, especially the world that we live in now.
Especially the world we live in now, but
Yeah.
bring that to a salon, good luck.
Yeah. The tea.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
Give me a couple hours, I'll talk to you about
That
it.
is so funny. Oh my gosh. So, and the website's impressive. What Mondays at Racine has done over the years is absolutely impressive. I see that you guys have done pumpkin races and galas and things of this sorts, and we're also doing Long Island Beauty Ball in February. Okay, tell us about that.
The Long Island Beauty Ball started because we decided that in order to get recognized about what the charity is, we decided that it's an interesting, in the medical community, let's just say. Yeah. So it's a competitive field, unfortunately, in cancer, right?
Yeah.
So you could see now on Long Island, especially, that there's cancer centers opening up constantly, which tells you the amount of people that need to be serviced.
Yeah.
But it is competitive. Mondays at Racine is not, though. We don't discriminate from any hospital. The patient comes from anywhere. Most of the hospital systems wholeheartedly support Mondays at Racine, financially and emotionally. For one night, we get them all in one room for one purpose, which is Mondays at Racine Cancer Care, right? Then the beauty industry. The beauty industry is responsible. We hold a responsibility to these patients. Why? Because we've serviced these people before diagnoses. We provided them products and service and all this other stuff. So it is the beauty company's responsibility now to step up.
Yeah.
We get great support from a lot of different companies.
Yeah.
And they come into the beauty ball. So it's where the medical community and the beauty industry come together in one night for the sole purpose and for the fundraising idea of helping people while they're in treatment for cancer.
Wow.
That night, we decided we didn't want the same old boring sit-down dinner.
Right.
You know, people like looking at their watch. What time is it? Oh, the Chateaubriand is horrible. Same food, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know, we did come from a mother who was an entertainer.
Yeah.
So all of us girls, her girls, Millie's girls, we know how to throw a party.
Yeah.
And so we decided that it was going to be more of an interactive event. So anybody in these industries, as I just described, can take on almost like a vendor table. And you could give out information or provide a service at any table. So throughout the room, there is over 100 different vendor tables.
Oh, wow.
And in the middle is all the food and cocktail tables throughout. And we hand the guest a bag, and they go around like a trick-or-treat bag, and they get information, because some of it's important information, because there's a lot of medical stuff, or they get products, or they get services.
Wow.
And so, and then of course there's a DJ, and there's music and dancing and all of that. So it's a phenomenal event. It is not a boring event.
Right, it doesn't sound boring.
It's been quite successive over the years, and of course, during COVID, we had to pause it. We were traditionally always planning it for October, but Mondays is not just breast cancer, and we always got pigeonholed into that month because that's a breast cancer awareness month. So we pulled it out of October. It is now this year, February 5th. It is a Monday night. It's at the Bethpage Heritage Club. It starts at 6:30, I believe. And right now, early bird special. You could go online. There's a QR code you could scan. We're going to be constantly, even through the holidays, going to be discounting tickets because we want people to really come. We've come a very long way, but we're still here to do the work.
Right.
So anybody who donates $1 or donates $10,000, that money, 90% of it goes to the patient. We have charts. There are websites that monitor charities. You could see our breakdown, our pie, and how it all gets done.
That's so great.
Guarantee you that's where the money goes.
I love that.
Important to know.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel, she's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you for spotlighting us on your very informative and fabulous podcast. I appreciate you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Mondays at Racine. How can people find you, contact you, or come to your salon? Let them know right over there.
Very easy. Mondays at racine.org. That's Mondays, MONDAYS, no apostrophe, AT, Racine, RACINE.org. It is a very comprehensive website, easy to navigate. If a patient needs help, there's navigation for that. And if you want to be a volunteer, there's a place for you to go on the website to do that. If you want to donate, there's a place to do that. That's important. That's an important one on the website, the donation portion. And naturally, there's a 1-888-9-MONDAY phone number to get any general information. And you could always call me, Rachel, at Racine, and go on my website at racinesalon.com.
Love that. That's incredible. Thank you, Rachel, for coming to the pod. Come on, give me a hug, you.
Bring it in.